The shadow of the steeple, a global cry for the martyrs. The altar of the present, a world in agony. We gather not to discuss a distant history, but a current bleeding reality. As of January 2026, the global church is enduring a great pressing. The latest data from the 2026 World Watch List is staggering. 388 million Christians, 1 out of every 7 believers, now face high to extreme levels of persecution. In the last 12 months, the number of believers murdered for their faith rose up to 4,849. These are not just statistics, they are the holy seed of the kingdom. From the hidden basements of Pyongyang to the burning plains of Nigeria, the cost of saying Jesus is Lord has never been more tangible. The blood on the sand, detailed accounts of the sacrifice. The Sydney stabbings, a week of terror, April 2024 to April 25. We must speak of the darkness that visited the shores of Australia. In a single week in April 2024, the spirit of violence struck twice, leaving scars that are still raw today. Bondi Junction, April 13, 2024. At the Westfield Bondi Junction, a man armed with a 30-centimeter blade embarked on a murderous rampage. While the world debated his mental health, the image of Ashley Good, a young mother handing her bleeding 9-month-old baby to strangers as she succumbed to her own wounds, became a symbol of sacrificial love in the face of senseless evil. 6 lives were extinguished in that mall, 5 of them women, reminding us that the enemy of souls targets the most vulnerable among us.
Saturday afternoon in Sydney. Families shopping, tourists strolling, children laughing as they held colorful bags in their hands. Westfield Bondi Junction, one of the busiest malls in Australia, was alive as always. Until everything changed. On April 13th, 2024, at around 3:30 p.m., shoppers began to hear screams. Not loud at first, not enough to alarm the entire mall, but enough for people nearby to turn their heads. Then the chaos erupted. A man walked through the shopping mall armed with a large knife. Security cameras captured him moving with disturbing calmness, stepping into stores, onto escalators, into open walkways, choosing victims at random.
Well, tonight news we hope we'd never have to deliver in this country. Mass killing at Sydney's biggest shopping centre.
Terrified shoppers run for their lives from a man wielding a knife, stabbing people, including children.
I've seen a baby with stab wounds. Yeah, there's a baby getting wheeled off by the ambulance.
Hiding in the back room, and I just hear gunshots. It's just like the worst thing ever.
As a result, there were 4 female women deceased in the shopping centre and 1 male, and subsequently another female passed away in hospital, taking it to a total of 6.
The devastating scenes at Bondi Junction are beyond words.
The Wakeley church attack, April 15th, 2024. Only 48 hours later, the darkness moved from a marketplace to a sanctuary. During a live-streamed service at Christ the Good Shepherd Church, a 16-year-old assailant lunged at Bishop Mari Emanuel as he preached a message of peace. The world watched in horror as the bishop was stabbed multiple times. Yet, in a display of true spiritual fervor, the bishop's first words after the attack were of forgiveness for his attacker. This is the scripture in motion, loving those who despitefully use you.
Incident at the Wakeley Church considered a terrorism attack. We're getting lots of questions about what constitutes an act of terrorism and why, for example, the attack in Bondi is not considered a terrorist act, but what happened in the Assyrian Orthodox Church in Wakeley is considered an act of terrorism. An act of terrorism is defined in the Criminal Code as an act motivated by or advancing a political, religious, or ideological cause.
Nigeria, the killing fields of the Sahel. Nigeria remains the world's epicenter of martyrs. In the first 220 days of 2025 alone, over 7,000 Christians were slaughtered. The Christmas Eve chaos in late 2025 and into January 2026, the states of Plateau and Benue saw coordinated cleansing. Extremists on motorcycles swarmed Christian villages during prayer meetings. In the village of Kaswan Dahi, 42 men were lined up and executed simply because they refused to renounce their God.
In the African nation of Nigeria, millions of Christians are persecuted by Islamic terror groups. And since 2009, over 52,000 Christians, let that sink in, 52,000 have been killed, including 7,000 this year alone. On October 14th, 15 Christians were slaughtered by Fulani terrorists, and CBN's Raj Nair recently spoke with Truth Nigeria's Masara Kim.
You're welcome back to Morning Express. To set the ball rolling on conversations on the program this morning, we're being joined here in the studio by ADBN's security correspondent, Fumilola Adeyemi, who will be dissecting some of the security situations in the country, particularly in Benue and Plateau states, where the governors have decried a possible siege by suspected killer herdsmen in their forest reserves all across the state. A very good morning to you, Fumi. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Express today.
It's good to see you this morning.
Well, it is said that Nigeria is on the edge. Bloodshed, insecurity, protests rocking the nation. Yesterday was supposed to be Easter Monday, but instead we saw a procession of members of the Christian Association of Nigeria alongside different individuals from Plateau State protesting on the street over the killings of Christians in Bokos and Basa local government areas of the state. What do you make of the development in Plateau before we move on to Benue?
Thank you very much for that question. You know, for some time now in Plateau, basically, there have been, I think for like 2-3 years now, there have been this issue of resurgence of insecurity, and it's on the high level. And believe me, we are all human. If there is a killing, I don't think there should be celebration.
The abduction of the innocents. In November 2025, gunmen stormed St. Mary's Catholic School in Niger State, taking 300 children into the forest. These children are being used as bargaining chips, forced into marriages, or re-educated to hate the very God their parents taught them to love.
Bandits have reportedly, this time, abducted an unspecified number of students and staff from St. Mary's School in Papiri, located in Agwara local government area of Niger State. Confirming the incident in a telephone interview, the head of disaster and relief for Agwara local government, Ahmed Abdullahi Rufai, revealed that the attackers invaded the school in the early hours of the morning between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. He noted that the exact number of abducted students and staff is yet to be determined as authorities continue to assess the situation. Now, this latest abduction comes just days after a similar attack in Maga, Kebbi State, where gunmen kidnapped 25 students from another school, raising fresh concerns over the worsening insecurity across educational institutions in the region. We do have one man who has been following this.
In India, the crushing of the carols. In December 2025, the spirit of Herod rose again in India. The Nathar village massacre. On December 21st, 2025, a group of believers gathered for Christmas carols. A mob of 60 extremists burst into the home, shouting slogans of hate. Pastor Simon was beaten unconscious with stones. A 46-year-old woman with a kidney condition was kicked repeatedly in the stomach until she collapsed. Their crime? Singing about the birth of the Prince of Peace.
Over 700 attacks on Christians in India this year. That's more than 2 every single day. And this Christmas, the number just kept rising. In Madhya Pradesh, a BJP district vice president Anju Bhargav walked into a church and assaulted a visually impaired woman attending a Christmas lunch for blind students. She told her she was born blind because of her past deeds and would be born blind again in her next life. In Kerala, RSS workers attacked children singing Christmas carols, destroying their instruments. One BJP state leader defended it, calling the kids a criminal gang. In Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, mobs barged into
India's new anti-conversion law is making it harder for religious minorities to share their faith. The Freedom of Religion bill is specifically aimed at digital media. Supporters claim it protects
A mob of angry people attacking a church, striking police, and destroying a statue of the Virgin Mary. This video was taken as a group descended on a Catholic church in Narayanpur, India, just one example of a growing wave of violence targeting India's religious minorities. Our observer headed up a fact-finding report about violence against the region's Christian community in December.
There is a Catholic church in Narayanpur which was attacked by a mob. They all had sticks in their hand. They are seen marching towards the church and attacking all the window panes and window glasses.
The spiritual perspective, the scripture, and the sword. We look at these intimate details, the smell of smoke in Syrian churches, the sound of a blade in a Sydney mall, and we must anchor our hearts in the Word. The fellowship of suffering. Philippians 3:10 says, I want to know Christ, yes, to know the power of His resurrection, and participation in His sufferings. The promise of the crown. To the believer in North Korea, where owning a Bible in 2026 still carries a death sentence, the Spirit whispers Revelations 2:10, do not be afraid of what you're about to suffer. Be faithful, even to the point of death, and I will give you life as your victor's crown. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. Revelations 12:11. Church, we cannot remain spectators to this immensely increasing tide of blood. When the members of the body are being cut, the whole body must bleed. Awaken from apathy. The attacks in Sydney and the massacres in Nigeria are connected by the same spiritual thread, a world that is increasingly hostile to the absolute truth of God. We need fervent intercession. We must pray for the strength of the bishop, the ability to forgive while the wound is still fresh. The bold witness, if they are willing to die for the gospel in the jungles of Myanmar, surely we can live for the gospel in the comfort of our homes. Let the shattered glass of Bondi and the charred remains of Nigerian chapels be our altar today. We do not mourn as those who have no hope. We mourn as those who know that every drop of martyr's blood is a seed that will grow into a harvest. No dictator or terrorist can stop. The darkness is loud, but the empty tomb is louder. Stand firm, because the King is coming.